So now that the rings have been filed, pistons and rods have been put together, I am going to put the rings in the pistons, put the pistons in the cylinders, and tie everything down to the crank. But sitting this close to it, I see it is a little bit, a little bit of stuff on it, so I'm going to use some of that carb cleaner, try to clean everything out, and then I'm going to oil everything up, and then I'm going to put them in. So moving right along, gonna keep this thing rolling. Got some stuff on order, so we're gonna be doing some other things pretty soon. If you haven't already, stay tuned to the channel, like, subscribe, even comment, let me know what's up. But I don't know, 1,000 horsepower might be coming real soon. We'll see. Okay, so I stopped for a second because I needed to find a crank bolt so that I could turn the motor to make sure that when I turned it, these weren't getting bind up. So I've done 3 already. I want to make sure that they weren't getting binded up. So I've done 3, set all my stuff back up. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other ones. So, and still, even after you put it in, you still kind of want to make sure, especially if you're going to be rotating them to check everything, you want to make sure that even the cylinders that you've already done are still pretty oiled up. So. Okay, so a mistake I made with the pistons and rods. If you look at this rod, you can kind of see on one end versus the other, there is more curvature. I'm holding the phone, but like right in this area right here, one is a little more curved than the other. So that's the chamfer. And if you come down here to your crank, you can kind of see how on the edges right there that it actually kind of curves in. Well, this chamfer that I just showed is supposed to be what makes it, the rod, go a little bit closer to here, so that these two rods that are sharing this journal do not touch. And I had basically the pistons, I had 3 pistons on technically backwards, to where it was actually been turned the other way when the piston was in the right direction. So I had to, good thing I was rotating it, and then found out, saw, and it wasn't even locking up. It was actually still rotate. It was just not as smooth as it was before. So because it was not as smooth, it kind of made me double check and see what was going on. Come to find out, I had a couple of them on backwards. So definitely something you want to think about. I would actually almost recommend, when you're doing your cylinders, as opposed to putting all the rods and pistons together, do them one at a time. If you do this one and then that one, then this one, that one, this one, that one, this one, that one, then you would actually know where this one goes. So like this one, I can see, I took these are two of them, 2 that I took off. I know that once this one sits, that the chamfer, which is on this side, should actually be on that side. So I know that this rod, or the piston is sitting in the right direction, so this rod is actually backwards, and the rod needs to go in like this. But in order to do that, now the piston is in the wrong direction. Piston slits are down facing it as opposed to being towards the block. So piston needs to be towards the block, but the chamfer needs to be towards this side, this right side of the cylinder. So I need to change that on these 2, and then everything will be smooth, and you'll be able to see that it's all done. Now, to change the rod, of course, you got to take out the pin. To take out the pin, I'm actually just doing one side. Do one side, push the pin through, change the rod, put it back in, and I'm actually able to reuse the spiral locks because I'm not messing them up. So you got to be careful taking those out. Take out the spiral locks, and you'll be able to put it in just like you took it out. And then swap the rod around, and then you'll be good to go. Now I'm going to show you how I'm taking the spiral locks out and changing the rod around, and then doing that. Okay, so for the spiral locks, you just find that one little pin part, and kind of pick it up. So what I'm talking about is that pin part right there. It's actually the end of the spiral locks, the last piece that you actually put in. Just kind of gotta start it up, and eventually you'll be able to get it to stay up once you hit it right. And you can't really push it in, but once you start it up, you just work it around. You're able to work it around, and then just work it around. Same thing you did same thing we did when I put it in. So just continue to work it around, work it around, work it around. And it's basically coming out the same way it went in. But it's still usable like this. Once I get one side out, just flip it over, go to the other side, and push the pin out. Once I push the pin out, swap this over, put the pin back in. Once the pin goes in, you just put your spiral locks back in. Same way we did it last time. Go ahead, get it started. I just like to kind of rotate it around in there until it stops. And then make sure that front piece is in there. Once that front piece is in there, then you just kind of start working it around. Same thing, pretty much just the opposite of what we just did to get it out. Work it around, work it around, work it around. Eventually, now you have swapped the side, put it back in. No expensive tool needed, and no gimmicks needed either. Okay, so I got that all done. All 8 of them are in. I got them all lined the right way. I probably used about 10 gloves trying to do it because I kept oiling it up. But you can see, let me see. But you can see they're all firing away. And I mean, it's buttery smooth turning this thing, so no type of hindrances here. Let's see, it's really just taking a real soft turn. All of them moving. This thing, not too long, the thing's gonna be falling down because of the spark. And somebody gonna be looking at some tail lights, all because of this thing right here.